when you see it in the left corner. Now we going live. So sorry for the delay. We have Martine Mazzetti connected. Martine can be called an experienced drug developer after 3 decades in the pharmaceutical industry, having been proudly part directly or through her teams of the progression of more than 200 molecules with a good number benefiting the patients and hitting the market successfully. She worked with Baxter, Nestlé, Roche, and AstraZeneca, mainly, but not solely, in regulatory affairs and project portfolio leadership, from research to the life cycle. Martine is head of project leadership at VectivBio, rare disease biotech in disease biotech in Basel that is on the edge of starting phase 3 in short bowel syndrome.
Thank you for the nice introduction. I'm really happy and for the invitation and having the pleasure to speak to you. I have not going through the introduction again as it was kindly done a minute before, but I think one thing I would say in my long career, I was really blessed to work with very talented organization and talented people. And the discussion and presentation now will focus on one aspect of my career, which is project management, which I had the honor to do myself as a project manager, as a group lead, and as a department head for the last 15 years. And also the other element, which I would like to give you a little bit of insight, is the business lead part, which was mainly a role which I had in governance committee in R&D, target and decision making. To represent myself, I use this very nice picture, which a friend of me drew. But of course, that was far before the COVID time. I'm not sitting on Earth, I'm sitting on my chair now. But my career allowed me to work cross-functional across the world. And I feel very blessed for that, especially as I see that now we have to do everything virtual. And I would love to have a dinner and a glass of wine with you all and exchange my ideas, but you have to live with a one-dimensional presentation of myself. A couple of disclaimer. Why this topic? I think one thing which across my career panned out is that my purpose in life is to build people, teams, and organization. And whatever job I had and whatever organization I was working, I was aiming to create something that made sense, brought a lot of benefit, where people could grow, and was at the end independent of me. And the 2 cases I will present you today, I have to do a disclaimer. I don't know if you are a fan of the Coen brothers. They had a very nice and dark series called Fargo, and I love that disclaimer. They said, this is a true story. The event depicted in this film took place whenever. At the request of the survivors, the names have been changed. Out of respect of the deaths, the rest has been told exactly as it occurred. My cases are also true cases, far less dark than Fargo. And the presentation is really a personal view of a personal journey and a little bit of simplification. So what are the 3 cases? So the first one is PMO, which I will not name. You will have to guess around from the talk. This PM organization role was to transform to be an architect with other function, to transform a company from a marketing to a science-driven company, from a very siloed local company to a global company, and that was the mandate. The second case is the gardener, which was a PMO. The role was here completely different. It was a really rich portfolio in a very rich company. And here the role was to optimize the portfolio for time, cost, and risk. And last not least, not to forget, I would like to speak a little bit about what happens in a small biotech, a startup, which is where I am today in Basel. where we create a company around a rare disease to the benefit of patients. So let's go back to the basics. Whenever you want to create a department and when you want to set up an organization, I borrowed the ideas from Simon Sinek, is you have to ask why. Why are you there? What is the problem you have to solve? What is the purpose? What is the motivation of your organization? And how you translate that into processes and what you get out. And having worked quite a while in neuroscience is if you want to create an intrinsic motivated organization, you have to activate your limbic brain. You have to activate the trust, the energy, the behaviors, everything which makes things happen. And then you can put a rational frame around it, which is about controlling, reasoning, analytical thinking, which we are doing very well because we are all coming from research organizations. So applying this principle to the three cases led me to look into the first thing: where are you living? What is the strategic context of the organization? What is your PMO set up to do? Who are your stakeholders? And with this tool, with your team, articulate your vision. And once you have it, go back and validate with it. So spend time before you run to think about your purpose, your motivation, and your belief. And here, it's not me, it's the organization you are working in. So in my first case, the vision we articulated with the team is drive project deliverables and informed decision making. Please remember, this is an organization where transformation and pipeline building is key. So it's all about having the right projects, pushing them through, and also make the right decisions. The goal was to build a centralized PM organization. It was also to look into the PM capabilities there and the PM capabilities you need and what you do and what you need to do to get there. And don't forget, if you have you go in an organization which is focused on change, your stakeholders, they were very, very supportive, at least mine, but also very, very busy with other stuff. So the good thing in that organization, you had quite a large room to maneuver, carte blanche. If you look into the second case, which you can guess who that is, the pipeline was there. But I think the challenge of that organization was to be clear of the strategy. What is the disease area they want to focus? What are the projects they want to prioritize? How can they make sure that the pipeline is optimized to that criteria? So here we are in a completely different context. We have to consolidate and harmonize capabilities and tools. You already have some richness in that organization. You really have to focus on the strategy, understanding the strategy from the ones who articulate it to the ones who execute it. And you have an aim, which is about rationalization and optimization. This is not fun stuff to do, I can tell you. You have demanding, but likely critical stakeholder. And in contrary, you don't work with a carte blanche. You have to navigate within existing boundaries because everybody has a kingdom to defend. And my last case is a small biotech with a rich portfolio of an N equals 1, a project manager of an N equals 1, a project leader of an N equals 1. And here I think the whole PMO, if you like, mini thing, is to build everything from the get-go. To focus on the project and the business development, you have to seek expertise, resources. You have to fly and build the plane. You have to improvise with limited capabilities. And you have very supportive but completely agnostic stakeholders. But the good thing, you have also carte blanche. And as you see here, the vision is a vision of the company. We want to transform patients' life. We are working in a rare disease. And project management is just one part of the whole. We're not differentiating any vision here. So if you look into the value you choose, the heart you want to be, you want to give to that organization. In the first case, I think we worked with a team, and the 5 values we put together to guide us was customer focus, technical leadership, change, collaboration, and simplicity. We could have put agility, because change is about agility, but at that time point, change was resonating more for us. In the second case, with a team, we spoke about operational excellence, credibility, accountability, effective communication, and problem solving as the values we want to live in our PMO. And go back to my little company here. Here we're back to the mission of the organization. It's about integrity, mission-driven, passion, centricity, agility, collaborative spirit, and trust. So you see 3 cases, 3 different ways of articulating a value and the vision. And now you come to the second system. You have the brain. Now you have to articulate and to take action. And the way, and it's a very personal thing, every time I build an organization, I start with people, people around me, people who I work with, people who are putting an organization together. When looking at people, I really focus on to have the right people at the right place. And when I know that with my organization, I look into the structure, how I can organize it, what kind of capabilities I need, which might be a different case in different organizations. And then only I align processes, tool, and system to answer the goals I have with my organization. So it's something I applied every time I had to build an organization. So if we go back to the case 1, which was drive, project deliverables, and informed decision making, I had the honor to navigate that organization for 3 years. And the first thing was what do we want? The creation of the centralized PMO, the launch of the mission and the values, the capabilities, and the key business processes. This was really the focus we had there. And again, it was a little bit also building a plane while flying, because the organization was moving from one place to the other, was asking people to do global working. The teams change as much as the project manager. So there was a very compressed change, which was a reality, but but the mantra was, we have to deliver the pipeline. So you didn't had a lot of time to discuss, I'm missing 50% or 30% of my project team members. The organization was demanding to have a pipeline, growing pipeline. So once we had that, I think we integrated in my organization, as much as the other organization of that company, a culture of global working. We pushed people to take assignments which aligned their reach outside of their actual TA and actual geographic reach. We did a full catalog of work, which was very tactical around what are the PM capabilities and capacities we have. How do we manage information management? Because that was a key problem in that organization, which was fragmented. And how we build enterprise tools cross-functionally and not isolated. We're looking to automate anything we could in terms of portfolio views, and we try to build a glimpse of option and portfolio and project planning and risk assessment. But we were more in that year too in gathering. We're not yet at the analyzing step. So once we successfully arrived to that, we were able to foster facilitation and collaboration as key skills of project manager to bring the team forward. We could enhance the reporting platform. We could analyze the capacity management in context of the portfolio, which was growing exponentially, and start to think about a prioritization network. So that gives you the journey. and the roadmap to achieve what we had as a goal, project deliverable and information decision making. And just want to give a glance of what we did in terms of structure. So here, I think we created a position which was linked to the fact that information fragmentation was the one key problem we had to solve for. So we created a new job, which was information managers. This was young people coming off the university, very skilled in any platform, with no bias, no history, and they helped the project management organization to create modern ways to work in terms of information management. In terms of system and tools, we had quite a solid department to help us bring that together. And we dedicated one part of our organization to the business lead of the governance to make sure we bring the information to the governance back and forth. The group leaders in the project manager groups had more or less 6 project managers. In total, we were 40, where all the disease area leads. So we make sure that all of the information from the disease areas were back and forth. So that gives you a little bit of a glimpse where we had. If I go now to my case number 2, which was a luxury limousine where we had to optimize the pipeline to deliver the strategy, we started with quite mature, and I think we'll have discussion on a mature PM organization later in the day. But here was really to create a common identity, to bring this mature organization to something which is more playful. I use playmaker. The hard thing is with the request from the organization was to streamline the organization. If you speak about streamline, is optimize for resources, optimize for people, which means you have to let go people, you have to reorganize stuff. And that was a very painful first step to reshape that organization in that way. Here we really worked hard in the first step to prioritization and shape the prioritization project. And you can imagine in the second step that we had a PM organization was a little bit vulnerable and broken by the fact that you had to change things in terms of concentration. And I think in the second step here was the main thing was to relaunch the culture, positive culture, to share the capabilities for the people, look into option and portfolio capabilities in collaboration with portfolio groups. We spoke about deliver on the strategy. I think when you have a strategy, you have to think about how you communicate and that each piece of the organization knows it. And here, instead of focusing on information manager, here we really focused on training and education within the organization, making sure the strategy is explained, translated, and implemented, so the organization looked different. And once we went to that implementation, I think the hardest job was to maintain. It's always exciting when you build. It's painful when you shrink. It's very exciting when you rebuild. But then, of course, you have to get to a steady state, which is incremental learnings, incremental ways of working, bring an agility, something which could start to be static. So I think that was the last step we did in that organization. Last not least, I think here I show you the organization was quite different. The PMO head, myself, had the responsibility to manage the governance for the research organization. So that was, we had a direct connection. We had TA business leaders dedicated to the disease areas in the organization. The portfolio and system was a little bit smaller, but very effective. But then, in difference to my other organization, we had a whole learning team who brought kind of business learning using the capabilities and the leaders in the organization into the disease areas in the project team to make sure that this strategy was known and cascaded to the lowest point of the organization and embraced. So that gives you the difference between these two cases. I think the last one is very, very obvious. I think we started VectivBio 2019. We were 5 people. Now we are 20. We brought a molecule in rare disease and short bowel syndrome to phase 3. Luckily, we started phase 3 despite COVID. So I think here you go to just set up everything from the get-go. You have to use mature people. That might be one example to it. So you have to go with project managers and people who can do stuff. You don't have time to train and learn them. You have to cruise. You have to define the project. And I think that's the first thing. And then you have to set up the project team and the governance, knowing you have more holes in your Swiss cheese than anything else. And of course, small companies are about survive. So you have to optimize your plans for cash flow in addition then for money and project development. You have to seek critical capabilities. So you buy people, you buy resources, you convince them, you charm them, you attract. You adapt to virtually everything, surprises every day. So that's a survival phase. Once you pass through, and I think we passed that one, I think we now need to go and design ourselves to expand, being a 20 people company, and make a phase 3 is quite an interesting challenge, but we also want to have new projects. So we want to have an organization who integrates the right talent. So that gives you a bit the difference between the 3 cases. And of course, the results, as I said, are different in each case. I think in case 1, I think we're very happy when I left that the organization had a very rich pipeline, even they got just beaten by the European Union a couple of days ago. PM came as a global organization, recognized, confident, partnered in the project teams and the governance level. The information from the project were absolutely right to make decision, and that was acknowledged. Change was embraced, and at the end, even we had to change a lot and attract talent in a competitive environment. We were shown to be attractive. I think second case, my Gardner grew to very mature PM organization. We have to maintain organizations through multiple prioritization and consolidation around the project. And I think the key topic was linking the strategy to the disease area and the project. And of course, at the end, not being complacent and challenge the system, create a learning organization, because I think there's nothing which we solve forever. Last but not least, my little one, right team there. Even we work with more than 70% of contractor. We started a phase 3, I'm just telling it. And we created scalable organization. So, short conclusion, I think every case is different and every organization is different. So what you need to do to be successful is work on 3 axes, your credibility, your capability, but also in the context, and each one, before you run and build an organization, it's just my personal advice, think about it and work with your team together to articulate, and then you can create a roadmap who really adapts to that need of your organization. And if you fulfill the need of an organization, you are highly regarded, you are successful, and of course that is very enriching for both your organization and there. So, and now my question to you, what shall be your roadmap to success? I put a couple of polls in there behind running. If you answer them, that would be lovely, but I would really call for action for you and saying, think about it and think about your roadmap. And by the way, you may have noticed that I'm Gardner. Thank you very much, and happy to take any questions.
Thank you very much, Martine. Yes, there is a poll. Please answer the poll. We are a little bit behind the time. Martine will be also in the panel discussion today in the afternoon at 1:30, and tomorrow in the panel discussion for risk management tips. So if you have questions, please do not hesitate and join the panel discussions, write the questions, and Martine will be happy to answer them. Let me introduce Antonio Nito Rodriguez. Thank you very much, Martin.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Let me introduce Antonio Nito Rodriguez. He's a preeminent thought leader, author, the international champion of the project management, and one of the world's top 50 leadership and management thinkers. Says, we all have heard about disruptions that are impacting our society and the business world: robotics, artificial intelligence, shared economy, blockchain, big data. However, there is one extreme disruption that is affecting our world that media and academia have completely missed. For over 100 years, organizations have been run and structured in a very similar way, hierarchical, in which power, budget, and resources are divided over departments, the so-called silos. Management and management theory was focused on how to run and optimize efficiency, the business best. Projects were an addition, but hardly ever a priority. So, welcome Antonio Nito Rodriguez soon, and his keynote roadmap to PPM success: always have a vision.